All right, Mississauga, we are back. We're keeping it real with real guests and real conversations. And I have been going on this journey, and I've always been in health. And recently, the universe always responds at the right time. And a couple of weeks back, there I am on a YouTube University, and then I see this channel, and it sort of intrigued me. And it's all about movement, brain movement. And I was like, oh, what is this all about? And it really caught my attention. And I'm like, okay, I gotta get to know who this person is and what she does. And her videos are simple, effective, and I was really interested. So I'm really happy. So she's my second guest, all the way from down under, from Australia. So Elise, I want to welcome you to Mississauga, Keeping It Real.
Well, g'day. I better start like that, right? I'm all the way from down under.
All
But
the way from down under. Yeah, absolutely. So just to let our listeners know, I'm just reading her profile here. She's an expert in health and wellness, boasting over 20 years of experience in various fields that include you were an athlete, you've advanced care paramedic. I didn't know that.
yeah,
A health coach. You've done many speaking engagements. And I'm just looking at your whole list here. You have everything from lymphatic specialist to functional neurology. And that's what the work that I saw on YouTube is like brain neurology movement. I may have the wrong title, but I'm sure you'll correct me. And you have a background in health and sciences. So this is amazing. So yeah.
yeah. I've got a pretty vast background of it's almost just a collection and a journey from when I was little because I swear that was my calling from the get go. I've always loved the body and understanding my home, aka my body. And from a very early age, started to just actually a really funny story is how people had posters on your when you're a kid or when you're a teenager you had posters on your wall of like hot boys or whatever. Well, I had muscles and human bodies and so
Really?
I had like the human body, the skeleton system, the muscle system. I was just fascinated from a very early age. So I guess it was a calling from the get go to just delve into health and wellness and help other people learn about their bodies too and their homes.
So that said, the first question that pops up for me, did you have like somebody in the family in the health and sciences? Most people are listening to music, they got celebrity crushes, but here you are with muscular skeleton.
Yeah.
Like, was there somebody in the family that sort of introduced this to you, or like how did that interest start?
Not overly. I mean, we were all pretty healthy. We were all into exercise and sport from an early age. I was probably more than my brothers and sisters, but my mum was always healthy, home cooked meals, all of that sort of stuff. A focus on just what you put in your body is good for you. And but no, I think I was a little bit different and just from the get go started with an obsession, and not even obsession, just an interest in the human system and how it works. I just found it fascinating, and I still do to this day. I find it fascinating that I could ask people where their can opener is in their own homes, and they could tell me exactly what drawer it is. It's under the kitchen sink, it's here. And then I say, well, where's your liver and what does it do? And they've just got absolutely no idea. And this is the home you live in for the rest of your life. So that's almost my goal, is to teach people, like, come on, like, you've got plumbing, you've got electrical, you've got an entire home here that you need to understand how it works and get your health ownership back a little bit.
Yeah, you know what you say, it's so true because we lose connection. We live in our heads, and we lose this whole everything underneath from our neck down. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, I don't know what it does. I don't know, but we find excuses, like you said. Like you will find that whatever CD tape you're looking for, it's there. But you ask something about the human body, and it's like it's too complex. It's I don't understand, or we lose touch with it, Ellie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, Elise, we do lose a connection with it, and your videos do a wonderful job because they brought me back home actually. So your videos, you may have longer ones, but when I did start, correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of your work that you do, it does connect with the lymphatic system, correct?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And we'll get into that and sort of have you explain what the lymphatic system is. So there I am. I think it was about a couple of weeks back. Just to let everybody know, we're recording this on March 22nd. I think today is March 22nd. And so I don't know exactly when this is going to be released. So I started about a month ago, and I saw the first video. I'm like, who's this lady that just appeared on my YouTube? I'm like, okay, and it said neural movement, brain movement. I'm like, okay, what is she going to do? What's so different? And there I am. Within 10 minutes, you take me through these like exercises, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm sort of, like I'm doing all these exercises, and you know what? The first time I did it, I was like, damn, I was like sweating. I'm like, I thought I was fit. I was like, oh my God. And then I stuck with it for a good week and a half. And then I went to another video. They're simple. And I think there's a huge craze, a big movement. And maybe you could talk about that with the lymphatic system, the movement.
Yeah. 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 I I'm seeing that a lot at the moment. Like I've been doing this work forever. And I started on YouTube at probably about between 2013 and 2015 teaching this stuff. And I have a video about this on YouTube, just my story. And I just don't think anyone was ready to listen to what I had to say because I literally had about 500 followers from 2015 till about 2024. And then people started piquing their interest. What is this? What is this lymphatic? What are these new words coming into the medical system? Like, yeah. And I do want people to understand because we do get caught on craze words in our industry, especially in the health industry. So lymphatic is definitely a craze word at the moment, but I want you to know that all movement will move your lymphatic system. The way I explain it is your lymphatic system's like 700 toilets that live all over your body, and its job and role is to collect toxic load, right? So that's everything coming into the body or around the body. You are a sponge. So that is all of the Wi-Fi, fluorescent lights, energy, you connect with people. That is things you put inside your body, on your body, you breathe in, everything's coming into the body. And your brain goes, what am I going to do with this? Oh, I'll use that, and it'll zip it off somewhere and use it as energy or glucose or whatever. And then I can't use that. So I'm going to put that in my toilet, in my lymphatic system, and it's just going to hold in this space. And just like the toilet, you go and do a number 1 or 2 in the toilet, its only job is to hold that. It actually can't flush itself without your help. So you're the one who presses the button on the toilet and flushes the gunk away, and it's the same as the lymphatic system. It doesn't have a system to clear itself. The system of flushing is movement. So any movement will flush your lymphatic system to a degree. So yes, we can do specific movement to help the lymphatic system, but it's still going to be like a flush for the toilet. And I always say to people, I can flush my toilet every single day, but if I never clean it, it's going to get disgusting. So by cleaning the toilet is like getting the brush out and deep cleaning it with your toilet brush. That's specific and more detailed movement of the lymphatic system, or more importantly, it's called your neurovascular lymphatic bundles. Your lymph, your blood flow, and your nerves all together need to move and work and communicate and flush well. Yeah. So don't get caught up on, I have to do this one lymphatic thing,
Yeah.
because all movement will flush your lymph. That's why we're walking around quite healthy beings, because if our lymph didn't flush, we would die within 24 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, so all movement's great movement. There is better movement to help with lymph, like jumping or boxing or jarring movements, or like I teach, full range of motion and movement is amazing to help with the lymph too.
I is there a connection between lymphatic and then the fascial system?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got to look at the body as an ecosystem. Everything in the body's connected.
Mm.
And the way I explain that too, I got this off Dr. Perry. He said, we start off as like a tic tac, right? That's how big we are. we we're in the womb and we're a tic tac. And for you to not think that in that tic tac your toe was connected to your tongue and your elbow is connected to your fascia system, then that's crazy, because that tic tac grew and grew and grew and grew, and now it's the size you are today. And of course, your tongue is still connected to your toe, and your head is connected to your fingers and your liver, and everything is connected in the body. So, the best bit of advice I could probably give you to help with your entire health and well-being of your body is to look at it as an ecosystem. So it has to be flowing well. It's like a river. If a river doesn't flow, you're going to have stagnant pools of water, and then you're going to harbor disease. So
Mm.
inside the body has to flush and flow and move and communicate all as one ecosystem.
Talking about the ecosystem, and then you had mentioned that the sort of like imagine there's like 700 toilets that we have. Are there parts in our body lymphatically that where these draining passages are larger or smaller compared to
Yes.
other places? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So your entire lymphatic system drains just under the left collarbone. There's a
Oh,
duct there, and that duct collects everything, and then it'll go back into the heart, and then the heart will filtrate it out. The blood will filtrate it out to your liver and your kidney, and then you poo it out, you wee it out, you sweat it out. That's kind of how we get rid of our toxins, and the blood filtrates it out as well.
has anybody? I wonder if anybody's asked you this. Is there a connection to what you just said
Yeah,
to people who put pacers on because it always goes on the left hand side?
yeah, yep,
I don't know
yep,
if anybody's asked you that before. The only
yeah,
reason why I ask is because my father passed away last year, and the year before that, um, they put on a pacer on his left side because they were saying that it wasn't pumping or something like that, and we were just novice, we had no idea. And then dad around that time also got a little lazy and really wasn't moving a lot. And then one day he had like a minor stroke, and then they're like, "Oh, I think we need to put a pacemaker." So what you just said, there's the big one is here on the left side. Is there any connection to that? I'm just asking you
yeah,
out of the
absolutely. And what people don't probably understand either is your lymphatic system is a part of your circulatory system. So it is a part of your cardiovascular system as well. It needs the heart and it needs the pumping to help flush it as well. So it is extremely connected. But I guess what grates me a little bit is they don't emphasize the importance of the lymphatic system with things like cardiovascular disease. It's like, well, if you've got a cardiovascular issue, you 100% have a blocked up lymphatic system because the flow's not happening. Yeah. If you have
yeah.
any issue, any disease, any ailment, you have a lymphatic system problem, because that's the way, like, think of cell perfusion. Cell perfusion is basically the ability of, if you ball up your fist and you look at your fist and go, that's my cell, then the ability of cell perfusion is the ability for nutrients to come into that cell, to come into your fist, do what it needs to do inside it, and then the ability for the waste to go out. So what's happening is sometimes the waste can't come out, so therefore the nutrients can't come in, and that's what
Right.
causes a destructive cell. Yeah.
Mm, interesting. And you connect with a lot of you're a coach, so you have a lot of clients. What is the like? Have you noticed? Like, is there a pattern, like something that you are noticing that many clients or people in general are not doing anymore? That's causing this dis-ease in the body?
I think it's a collection of things. I'm actually writing a book about this at the
Oh,
moment. Yeah. I think we are in a ancient biology. Like our body has not changed. Our brain and our body and our biology is the same as our ancestors millions of years ago. What has changed is our environment. It's our lifestyle, the food, the soil, the air, the Wi-Fi's, the
Yeah.
energy, the pressure, the list could go on about our environment changing, and we don't connect the dots that you are still in this ancient, system trying to keep up with this fast-paced lifestyle that just explodes every single year, and just the pace is insane. So when people are like, yeah, I just can't move my weight, I've got neurological issues, I've got autoimmune diseases, it's
Mm.
not your biology, it's your environment. And it's hard to keep up with our environment this day and age. But there are definitely things we can do to help. Like going back to the old school ways our ancestors lived, working, moving, eating well, getting sunlight, grounding, moving in
Yeah.
ways that are just natural. Like simplicity doesn't sell. Let's put it that way. You can't sell a banana, but you can sell a banana flavored protein powder that makes you massive and
That's true.
is filled with energy. Like it's kind of bullshit.
Wow. Well, that's a good
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. So it's marketing really. Let's put it down
It
to that.
is.
It's
And
amazing marketing, and it's made everyone think that the urgency is you have to get something, you have to be doing something, you have to be buying something, you have to be consuming something because the marketing says so, not because your biology has changed. Yeah.
and it goes back to what you said, Elise. We've sort of lost that connection with our body because we don't even know what the body wants anymore.
Yeah.
Because we've been brainwashed or body washed, call it. Oh, I need this, I need this. So, that's why there's that important part of like meditation, being, like you said, grounding ourselves and really being in tune with our body. And
Yeah.
we've lost that. Now, there's a great book. I forgot the name. Oh, sorry. It's called The Body Keeps the Score. I don't know if you
Oh
read
yeah.
that book.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I love
Oh, yeah,
it.
yeah. Basically, the body knows everything. Like we store every emotion, experience, and then some people have a huge break fall or some negative event, and that's it. They shut down the body, and
Yeah.
then the body starts to go through this downward spiral, and then we create disease mentally, emotionally, physically, every way, right? And then the journey back is not always easy, is it? Right? Like
Not at
that's
all.
the challenges.
Yeah. And yeah, if we look at the body as a vessel or a reservoir, it does. It holds everything. Everything is inside there, which means you can connect to everything and help unravel it and change it and clear it and, discover it and learn about it. And that's almost what I'm going to say the powers to be. I don't know, the
Yeah.
the bigger picture doesn't want you connecting to your body because it's the most powerful source of information you will ever have. Like this human body is so powerful that
Yeah.
of course you're not learning about it in primary school, you're not learning about it in high school. They steer you away from it because they want you to buy more prescription medication. They want you to not understand it so that they make money off a sick vessel, not an
Because that's
empowered.
how the system, the matrix makes the money, right? If we were
Absolutely.
all healthy, how
Yeah.
are they going to make any money? They're not.
100%. Yeah, yeah. Health ownership is just it's righteous this day and age. It's like, oh, what?
It's so fascinating, Elise, because my uncle who lives in New Zealand, and
Oh,
that's the
cool.
farthest I've been, and I loved it. I know you guys, Aussies and New Zealand or the Kiwis, don't always,
No, we love each other.
it's sort of like Canada and the U.S., right? Like it's the same rivalry we have here in sports. Like Canada's a smaller brother of the U.S., even though we're the second largest landmass, right?
Yeah.
Much bigger than the U.S. Um, and I remember my uncle saying once when I was younger, he's like, you know what, school doesn't finish or learning does not stop at high school
No. Yeah.
or even university. And most people I don't know what happens. They turn into zombies, and it's like, okay, I got to do all this stuff. Continuous learning has to be at the forefront of everyone. And like you said, the school system doesn't really teach us this, does it? Right?
No,
And it's
no,
unfortunate.
yeah, it's a bit of a system to get you into work and yeah, keep you there and make money for other people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and yeah,
and knowledge
yeah,
is power. Like if you have an inquisitive mind and you just are constantly delving into information and you're just like, just inquisitive about things, it is a big payoff system to you because you're constantly learning. And as I said, learning is knowledge and knowledge is power.
it is. It
Yeah.
is. Just looking at your background here, so I mean, you've spent over 20 years in the health and sciences, and I did mention I wanted to touch on this. So you were also an athlete. Was that in like racket sports, swimming? Where did that
Yeah,
interest?
I was a 100-meter hurdler.
Oh,
Yeah, I know I chose a weird one. Um, but I did lots of different sports, so netball, swimming, running. But yeah, I had a natural ability actually for the hurdles. I remember I think it was grade 8 in high school, they put the hurdles out, and I've never seen them before. I was like, "What is this?" And they're like, "Oh, it's 100-meter hurdles." I was like, "Oh, it was hurdles." And I was like, "Oh, cool." And I was like, "How do you do it?" And they taught us
wow.
how to do it. And then like, "Yeah, okay, you have a go." And I was just like, boom, 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 boom. They were like, my sports teacher was like, "Have you ever done that before?" And I was like, "No." She was like, "You need to get a coach straight away because you just have a natural ability to just do that sport." I was like, "Okay." And yeah, I ended up going to World Juniors with that sport. So yeah, yeah, it was incredible. I loved it. I think I like the rhythm of it because it's very rhythmic. It's like dancing, but you have to have like certain steps and a certain rhythm to go over the hurdles the exact same every time. And I quite
Right.
like that. So yeah, that
That's
was my
amazing.
sport.
And then, what is Z Health practitioner? Z Health, is that a
So
form of?
Z Health is
Oh, Z. You guys say Z up there. Okay.
yeah, Z Health, Z Health. Yeah, it's actually based in America. It's based in the States, and that's who I learnt from for functional neurology. The founder, Dr. Eric Cobb, he was a chiropractor. I think he started off as a chiropractor, and similar interests. Like, just thought there's something else missing here. There is a disconnection from the body to the brain, and the brain runs everything. So he started up Z Health University, which is functional neurology and just the niche of exactly that. It's not neurology. Neurology is massive, but this is functional neurology, which is almost like a personal trainer to the brain, almost understanding what parts of the brain aren't firing. And then when you understand what parts of the brain aren't firing, you can go to the body to physically upgrade those parts of the brain. So,
That's amazing.
yeah,
That's amazing because we can work from the mind to the body, but then what you're saying is we can also go then from the body, rechannel whatever needs to be done, and then to the brain. Oh, that's amazing. I'm going to look into that.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's very cool. And just when I learned that, so I mean, my background, I started off as a personal trainer. That was kind of where I first delved into, I thought, oh, that's what I'll do because I don't know what else to do. I was an athlete and I was like, well, I'll just go and be a personal trainer because most athletes do that. And then I went into becoming a advanced care paramedic after that.
Yeah.
I just
Wow.
was fascinated because I've always been fascinated by the body, anatomy, and physiology, and I
Did
thought
that give
that's
you a different perspective? Because here you are. Sometimes it's life and death, right?
oh
Have
yeah,
you
yeah,
experienced all that stuff? People dying and or
oh yeah, yep. I've
oh,
seen everything you could possibly imagine. I've seen, and I think what I loved about that job was the ability to constantly assess the human in front of me via not only anatomy and physiology but intuition. Like you would step inside a home and you would have to scan the environment very quickly, actually listening to what your intuition was saying. You'd see someone sitting on the lounge. Maybe you'd see a lady sitting on a lounge. She has a mansion. You've just walked into this beautiful mansion that's just, clean and perfect. And she looks sad and depressed. And you're just like, well, there's a mismatch here. Like, and you really had to listen to your intuition in those moments and think maybe she's not ringing us for what she called us, which was, I don't know, chest pain. It could be emotion. It could be that she's depressed. She's sad. She's so it was a really cool job. I absolutely loved it. I did 10 years as a paramedic, and then that's kind of where I went. There's more to this. There's the brain holds everything. Like, that is our hub. That is our master switch. And if I can learn more about the brain, I'm going to understand more about every component in the human body. So that's where I kind of often delved a little bit more into learning about, yeah, the brain.
The brain.
Biology.
I don't know if you've heard of Paul Chek.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you
He's
have. Oh, wonderful.
yeah, yeah,
I actually have one of his books, How to Eat, Move, and Be Healthier.
yeah.
And what I loved about that the book, I'm actually looking at it now, is that he keeps everything simple. Like everything he says, it's either a pull or a push, simple ground body movements, and he really opened my eyes to everything. And that's part of the reason why I actually like your videos. And by the way, just to let our listeners know, Elise also channels the Elvis in one of her movies. I saw that. She's like, yeah, I feel Elvis coming through right now.
Yeah.
That's the reason why. Do you remember that video?
Yeah, yeah. Move your hips, move your knees. Yeah,
Move your hips, move your hips. And that's what I like about the videos. And usually, I haven't seen any of the long ones. Usually, they're short, anywhere between maybe 7 to 15 minutes.
yeah.
What? Where was the transition for you from your background to what you do to, you got into healthcare, you were an athlete, a coach, and then you made this transition. And what refined your approach and say, you know what? Because what I'm hearing is that there is this passion of helping people, but let them understand how powerful the brain is. So where was the connection between brain and movement and everything else that comes? How did that transition occur for you?
Yeah, so when I learnt more about the brain, like as I said, I had a lot of movement background. An athlete, I personal trainer, like everything in our health and wellness system is almost movement based. It is everyone kind of like physios, osteopath, everyone is working on the body. And if
Yeah.
you say I've got a sore left shoulder, they're going to go straight to that left shoulder, right? I had that intuition almost, I guess, to go, well, that left shoulder could also be something connected to the ecosystem. So, and could be something connected to the brain and could be just might not be the left shoulder. So when I learned more about the brain and I learned that it had a hierarchy system. So the brain works off this hierarchy of more important information coming into it than other things. And the most important information coming into your brain at any given time comes through your eyes. So your vision, what you see, and how your eyes actually move through their muscle system
Mm.
is the biggest output for your physical movement as well. Like how you move in space and time, how your muscles react and tense and flex and rotate through the joints. And then the second most important thing is your balance, your vestibular. So inside your inner ear, you have your GPS system, which tells your body where you are. When I'm turning and moving, that vestibular is going to switch on. It's almost like the spirit level, the builder's little bubble with the spirit level. They build and put the leveler on the piece of wood and make sure that's
Oh,
it's
the level. Yeah, 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 yeah. Got
yeah,
it.
that's
Yeah.
called a spirit level. And it's like that for the human body. So when you're moving around, that bubble has to try and come back to its equilibrium to keep you upright. So that the eyes and the balance work together. That is the most important system and function in the human body to get you to move. So if you want to move well, I can give you all the exercises, stretches, massage techniques, mobility in the world, and it's not going to do anything if your vision and your balance is out of whack, which is blew my mind when I first learned that, because I was like, hang on a second, the entire health and wellness system is geared towards movement. And in the brain, movement's almost the least important. It's not, it's very important, because when you are playing tennis or catching a ball, you're using your vision. You're using your head and your vestibular to activate those areas. So it all works together. But if you think of sitting at a computer desk all day and not activating your head or your eyes, then you're going to deteriorate a lot faster in your movement, and you're going to get stiffer and tighter and tense because the brain needs constant upregulation of that area up high. Think in vision and balance. Yeah. So if our eyes deteriorate and our balance deteriorates, we very quickly deteriorate in our movement and our sore bits and pieces. Yeah.
When we talk about deterioration, what is the connection then with people who start wearing glasses at a very young age? Um, is there a connection to that?
Yeah.
Um, like,
Yeah.
there's this.
Absolutely.
Oh, is there? Yeah, because the
Yeah.
reason why I say this is because I study a lot in the areas of health and wellness. There's healing practitioners that do. I forgot what is it, ASMR. They do these little hand movements where they want you to look left, right, up,
Oh, yeah.
down, and then it sort of takes you back to a time where maybe you were distressed, and then through some cycle through eye movements, they're able to let go of the emotional strand, and now you can I can, or that memory is gone, and now you can see clearer.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
I don't know if you've heard of that
Yeah,
before.
EMR, I think it's called.
Oh, is it? Yeah. So
Yeah,
going back, to the question, is there a connection with like wearing like like reading glasses, or you can't see? Because then that's like the body saying, "Look, I can't see the world." So I'm thinking out loud here. Is it because I'm now closing myself in and I'm scared and I don't want to interact with the world, so that my eyes go blurry, and then I'm forced to wear these glasses that are really external to my eyes so I can see the world? So is there like a connection to that? Am I making sense here?
yeah, absolutely. I would say eyes definitely don't deteriorate as we've been taught they do as we age. I mean, obviously, we aging. There is a sense of deterioration as we age, as
Yeah.
normal. Otherwise, we would all be, you know, ageless. But we have been taught that you hit your 40s and your eyes just you're going to have glasses because your eyes are just naturally not going to work anymore, which is not the case. Your eyes have muscles that sit around them, and this is what happens when we're young as well. So those muscles, think of muscles when you look up to the forehead, the muscles pull the eyes up. When you look to the left or the right, the muscles pull the eyes left or right. And when you look down to the floor, the muscles pull the eyes down to the floor. So, how I explain it is if I don't go to the gym and train my bicep muscle, I'm not going to lift much. If I don't train my eye muscles, I'm not going to see much, and then I'm not going to move well. So we were never taught this. We were never taught that. Actually, we were back in the day. If you've had eye issues, as a young kid, and you're
Yeah.
probably in your 40s, back in the day, you were given eye exercises to strengthen the muscles of your eyes. That's long gone now. You don't get that now because they want you in glasses because that's where kind of money is. So if we strengthen the eye muscles, then the vision improves straight away. And then your ability to move and function and control your emotions and your human system improves too. So when you said, is there also a connection between, is there something I don't want to see? Is there, something emotional? For sure. And there's a science behind that too. Your eyes are deeply connected with your amygdala. Your amygdala is your emotional processing unit in your brain. They are deeply connected to your cerebellum. Your cerebellum is the seat of your emotions in your brain. So if the eyes don't function well naturally, you're not going to feel well emotionally either. So you're not going to move well, you're not going to see well, and then you're not going to feel well. And your threat will go up when that happens. So think of your threat as like a threat bucket. You keep adding water into a bucket, it's going to overflow. So you're going to walk around with more caution, more anxiety, more overwhelm, more hypervigilance, if that's the case.
Anxiety will creep in, fear,
Yep.
get into
Yep.
our parasympathetic system. Yeah, I see what you're
Yeah, your
saying.
sympathetic will lighten up for sure. And that's, people think that's a nervous system thing. It absolutely is, but it's also run back through the systems of the hierarchy of the brain. So we can change it all by helping your eyes, via helping your balance, via helping your cerebellum, via like lighting up areas in your brain that need more attention. And it's probably been since you were a kid, because if you had glasses since you were a kid, you've had an issue in your brain since you were a kid. So
Right.
you can change it still, because your brain's plasticity, meaning it can wire and fire and change to the information it is given at that time. So you can always fix yourself.
And that's the beauty, right? There's like some people that I connect with, it's like, no, this is it, this is the body that I have, nothing's going to change. They already have this victim mentality.
Yeah.
And maybe because of their life experiences, they're like, oh, it's another thing, it's not going to work, I know. Maybe it will work, but I guess because of their mindset, they're like, it's not going to, so it shuts down. It's like, all right, it is what
Yeah.
it is. And it is definitely unfortunate that that does happen in your videos. The movements that you talk, do you have exercise movements, the brain movements for eyes, the part of the emotional system? Has anybody reported to you that doing these exercises, sometimes they may have like a breakthrough, a release, an emotion of any sort?
Yeah, absolutely. If you can just go onto the comments on some of my YouTube
Yeah.
videos and just read people's comments of, why did I start bawling my eyes out after I did that workout? Like I just released something massive. And all of my workouts will have a connection to the cerebellum, because it's hard to kind of be able to treat everyone via YouTube, you know what I mean? Because everyone's got a different brain. So I'm like, how can I kind of generally treat everyone? I will
Yeah.
pull out one part of the brain that's going to help everyone, and that's the cerebellum. The cerebellum, the vision, and the balance is a lot of the times what I'm going to activate through my workouts. So the cerebellum, it's called your little brain. It sits right at the base of the skull, and I call it the receptionist. It integrates all incoming information. Everything you are, do, say, have, smell, everything comes through that part of the brain first. And it sends files to other areas of the brain, and vice versa. Things that come out of the brain, it sends kind of messages to the body as well. So it's this interaction between brain and body. And it deals with your accuracy, your balance, your coordination of your limbs, your physical output, and it's the seat of your emotions as well. So if we can target that one area of your brain, you're going to feel better emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally. Like every part of you is going to feel great. The cerebellum loves complex movement. So in a lot of my videos, we do weird ass movements.
Yeah.
We do circles. We do, like you said, Elvis hips. We do really
Yeah.
strange,
Yeah.
unique
I
movements.
remember there's one. I think I may have done it yesterday. There's one where you sort of make an association as an anchor. So I stand on my both feet. Like I'll lift my left knee up, and then by me lifting my left knee, then I turn my left foot, and then at the same time my right hand.
Yeah.
So there's this cross anchoring, and it's just amazing stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, using like opposing joints or what wires together, fires together in the brain. So think of your feet and your hands look exactly the same, and they are made exactly the same. So we can use both those together to activate the brain faster and in bigger real estate points in the brain, I guess. And same, any big circles, any big movement patterns of the joints will activate the cerebellum, which will instantly make you feel better emotionally too. So it's all, once again, we come back to, it's all connected. It's all that ecosystem. And when I go back to where I said, sometimes when you have a sore left shoulder and you go to the physio, osteo, or whatever practitioner, and they go straight to that shoulder, it might not be coming from there. It might just be where your brain has put the message so that you'll listen to it, because maybe you've injured that in the past, or maybe you've had some kind of association there. Maybe the lymph isn't flowing there. So that's the best point. Your brain can go, well, I'm not flowing there. So the nerves will activate more there and tell you something's wrong. So, yes, it's always a deeper conversation with the body. And I think that's what people need to learn and understand is the ability to have that conversation. Like, don't get scared when you have a pain in the body. Don't be like, oh, my shoulder's painful. This must be something wrong. I'm like, if I wake up with back pain, I'm like, oh, wow, okay. So, what are you trying to tell me?
Yeah.
Like, what's the conversation? what am I not doing, or what haven't I done, or like it's a very empowering thing for me to have my body tell me something's not working well, so that I can go, all right, let me help you, let me fix you, let me change you, let me give you something you haven't had before, so that we don't go down this path.
Which is so true. And the body will start these messages, just from people that I connect with, or even mine. Just examples was just a little nod. Hey, buddy, pay attention. And then if you're not paying attention, they increase, don't they? Right? And then boom, now
Absolutely.
you're like, oh, okay, I'm listening now.
Yeah.
And maybe these are the people who are sort of not connected with their body, and we live like zombies from our heads up, right? And we lose that disconnection. And in the school system, you see it as well. The kids come in with so much energy, so much life, and then they go through this system. It's like a triangle, and then as they keep going up in grades, you know all that they had from before, the energy, the vitality, connection with your body, now is all like a single point at the tip of a
Yeah.
triangle, and they lose everything. And
Great
then
analogy.
they can find a job, and they may not like their job, and they lose touch with their body, and it's disappointing.
That's a great analogy. That's a great visual perspective on it. 100%. That triangle. It's very true. Yeah, we are taught to disconnect. We're taught not to connect to our sacred ancient being that has been there for years and years and years.
I
Yeah.
like what you said when we first started, that we are this 1 million year, oh, how many million years you want to throw, number wise, it doesn't matter. We're this old,
Yeah.
the body's been running eons, and in the
Yeah.
last, what, 50 years, everything has changed,
Oof. Yeah.
right? Like,
In
you
the
think about
last 20 years, I think in the last 20 years, we
it.
have developed faster in the last 20 years than from the 1800s till the year 2000. In the last 20 years, it's doubled that time frame. I'm like, whoa. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So there's going to
Absolutely.
be consequences in a nervous system that is still running off an ancient, you know, years and years ago body.
So here's a question for you. Do we then have to upgrade the system, like a computer, like a CPU, put the next level up? Like, we buy phones, and every 2 years they have the next model up. So through these training videos that you have, and there's so many, and I'll add your on the show notes, your links to your videos on YouTube and everywhere else. So how do we then upgrade our body so we can be current, up to date?
Yeah, so exactly that analogy is perfect. We spend more time upgrading our mobile phone every year than we do our human body. And that's where the health industry will make you believe that the next biohack, the next peptide, the next pill, the next thing will help to upgrade you, when you've got to look at yourself as that ancient system. And what were you doing back in the ancient system? You were grounding, had sunlight. If you want your eyes to work well, they were scanning nature and the environment constantly. They
Yes.
need to keep scanning nature and environment. So you're going to get more out of going for a walk in nature and letting your eyes scan the mountaintops or the trees and looking up at birds and listening and having your senses engaged in the world and the smells and the sights and the sounds than taking a peptide that's already going to come into a body that's probably filled with toxins and it's not going to do anything with it anyway. So the upgrade is a lot simpler than you think. It is connection, it is simplicity, it is quiet, it is silence, it is more time rather than crazy time. It is calming your central nervous system in those simple ways, going for a walk in the forest, or think of your five senses. I always go back to that, and I've got a program online that's called Fast, and it's FAST. And think of F is fuel. You still have the same fuel you needed in your ancient body. Fuel is oxygen, and it's food. Good food, good oxygen. Keep that upgraded and you'll be fine. A is activation. Your brain needs constant activation. How do we activate the brain? Well, we move it. We, work, like I said, the hierarchy. We work the vision. We work the balance. We activate it. We give it information. We learn new things. We learn the guitar. We learn a new language. We constantly give it new information to keep it running well. Um, S is stimulation. So think of your senses. You've got smell, sight, sound, taste, and sensation. They all need to be activated almost daily. And that's what we've absolutely lost in our life, at the moment. Sometimes we don't go out and smell a rose. Sometimes we don't even taste the food that's going into our mouth because we're sending an email while we're eating. So these senses have become dulled and dulled down. And when that is dulled down, our connection to ourself is dulled down as well, because that's what the brain is working off. Oh, what are my senses telling me? So if you're sending an email and eating, you've got all this noise in the background, you are tight and tense in your body. What's that going to tell your brain? It's not going to say, I'm relaxed, I'm happy, here's more flexibility, here's a great day, here's good emotion. It's going to say, we're anxious, nervous system increases. Like it works off an anxious system. It's easy to kind of work out. And then you've got T for trust. If your brain doesn't trust you, nothing you do, no upgrade, no, peptides, no biohacking tool will work because the brain doesn't trust the system in play. So,
The
yeah,
system is broken, right? It's broken.
yeah. So we always, and we're looking for the next best thing, the fastest quick, the fastest hack, the fastest tool, but really it is just simplicity. It is
Hmm.
doing the things that we don't really do anymore. Going outside in the sun, putting
Yeah,
your feet on the ground, like so simple. And they're steering you away from that because you can't make money off it.
yeah, absolutely. Like
Yeah,
even the Paul Check that I brought up before, even he said, he goes, some things that we can implement are free. Cold
yeah,
shower,
absolutely. Yep,
you getting sun,
yep.
grounding, and sleeping. Like those are the
Oh, yeah.
foundations,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Since your I guess transition from where you were to being a speaker, corporate events, having clients, and now sort of having a dedicated YouTube channel and websites. What's something that really what's the word I was looking for? Uh, that that surprised you. That's the word I was looking. That surprised you getting into the YouTube world, and what surprised you the most?
I think it is, yeah, like I keep going back to it. I didn't realize how, I don't want to say uneducated, but how disconnected people are to understanding what happens inside their bodies. It fascinates me that, well, I guess it's because I've come from just an understanding and awareness of my body from a very young age, and I've always loved it, and I've had this great relationship with it, and not, that's not physically, that's inside. I'm like, whoa, a billion atoms came and formed together to make me. I'm like, that's pretty cool. And then they thought how I should sound and how I should look and how I should move and how I should, act. I'm like, that's so cool. Like, I've always thought like that. But people have this disconnection from their body that is really quite sad to me. And I I know that comes from lack of education in, like I said, in primary schools and things like that. But I guess my mission is just to go, stop looking on the outside physically, because yes, we've all been taught to, like,
Yeah,
you need to look a certain way and be
that's
skinny
it.
and do this and do that. But just have an appreciation for, like, your actual home. Like, your body works 24/7, 365 days a year, never having a break. Like, what kind of boss are you for that employee? Are you a nice boss? Are you talking to your employees well? Are you allowing your employees to have a rest? Are you feeding your employees, good, nutritious food? Are you, you know, taking your employees on holiday and just having, time to chill out? Or are you a shit boss? Are you
Yeah,
like, I hate you. This isn't working. Why do I feel like this? Like, the fuel you put in is toxic. The like just have a different awareness and understanding that this is you. Like this is the only love story that really truly matters is your own body. And it works really hard to hold you back up and, you know, keep you moving and supporting and doing the best it can for you every single day. So how are you helping that out? And yeah, that probably surprised me the most is people just think, well, what can I do to fix this? What's the fastest way to just dull down this pain, you know, make me lose weight, help my pain or knee move better? I'm like, it's deeper conversation than that. If you just want a fast, quick fix, you're not learning anything really. You're not learning that this body is screaming for your attention to connect back in with it, I guess.
There's a lot of shame and guilt connected to this body.
Oh, yeah.
Different cultures and religions around the world. Oh, don't even look at this body. It's just your brain that we should focus. So there's this, the body is just the body, right?
Yeah.
Um, and
Just a
sorry.
just a meat suit hanging
Yeah,
out.
that's all it is, right? So because of that, then there's no like, okay, I got to take care of this body. Nutrition should play an important role. Basic exercise, and then that said, then you get people who smoke and drink, and they have the fittest bodies.
Yeah.
How do you explain that, Elise? Explain that to me. Like, is it because they just have no stress and their body's like, all right, go ahead, smoke or do whatever you want? Like, I have people that I know and they're fit and they'll just eat junk food and their
Yeah.
bodies are still solid. How do you explain that? I have no
Yeah,
idea.
I don't know. That's one I don't know. And I the video I put up today on YouTube, I was actually talking a little bit about that. I do think it comes down to emotion as well. So
Mm,
the analogy I shared on my YouTube today was when I was a paramedic, I used to go to this lady. She was in her 50s, early 50s, and she was so obsessive, like so obsessive about her body, about the food she ate, about, you know, her lifestyle, just too extreme though, you know,
yeah.
just she was skinny, she just wouldn't eat because that had a bit of, you know, chemicals in it and just so obsessive. And we went to her almost weekly for gastrointestinal issues.
Oh,
And then on the flip side of that, I knew a farmer and he was 96 and he was old school. Smoked cigarettes, drunk a liter of milk, had a meat pie every day,
yeah.
used Roundup in his, you know, on his trees and his farm every single
Yeah.
day. And I think he lived to like 98 and she actually passed away at 52.
Oh,
And I'm almost looking at that going, what is this? Like she's doing everything she's meant to do
yeah.
via, you know, what we're meant to do, but she's also extremely stressed and obsessive about everything. And he's just like, life's bloody good. Isn't today a great day? Isn't
No,
the sunshine beautiful? Like, you know what I mean? There's
no,
definitely
no, I
something.
do. I do. And
Yeah.
in some of the videos, I think within the last couple of days, in the last couple of like 5, 6 minutes we have left here, what is the role of what you call woohoo spirituality, right? That the outside or the inner voice. Do you feel like you had said, you're very intuitive. For someone to be intuitive, there's a connection to a higher source. You don't just become intuitive because you just become no. There's a higher connection somewhere. I feel that there is a connection. The more spiritual you are, there's more this like because you respect the foundation of life. You're more tuned to your body. You could feel what is this connection with the spirituality, to the health and wellness arena.
Yeah, absolutely. And I am very spiritual. I am very connected to understanding that there's something bigger out there. There's a greater divine energy, whatever you want to call that.
Always,
I don't
right?
have a
Always,
specific
always, yeah.
word for it, but I actually call mine Solius.
Oh, really? Okay.
And
Was
the story behind that is
fun, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
when I said I had posters on my wall. So
that's
when I
right.
was, I think it was about 10 years old, I used to talk to like myself and like this voice in my head and this
Yeah,
understanding that I had a bigger guidance, and this thing would tell me to listen, and maybe you should. And I was
amazing.
like, what can I call you? I had a 10-year-old. I was like, what can I call you? And it came through, wake up tomorrow morning and the first thing you see is what you can call me. And when I woke up in the morning, the first thing I looked at was the calf muscle, and the calf muscle is called soleus.
Oh,
So for
wow.
my entire life, I've called my guidance soleus. But I think if you are connected to a bigger understanding and a bigger picture that, you know, life is magical, and there is magic in the life, whether that's God, whether that's source, whether that's universal consciousness, whatever you want to call it. I think it helps you trust yourself more, helps you just understand the voice inside you, and just be able to sit with yourself in times of despair and go, I have my back, I'll always have me and always have my back, but I've just got to have trust and faith and connect to a deeper understanding and knowing that everything's going to be okay. Why else would I be here? Like, I'm not just a human body put on the earth just to run around and work. I'm actually an antenna. I've been put here to connect between sky and ground, and to help share and connect with other antennas of the earth. That's how I see it, you know?
Absolutely.
So
And
if you
it,
have a really clear flowing antenna, like if your channel, if you want to
yes,
call it, if your
yeah,
channel is clear and connected, you are able to broadcast to more people and connect to more people than if your channel or antenna doesn't work well and it's kind of scratchy and disconnected.
I know it's true. And why does it come scratchy? And that's like you said, those are all those external factors, right?
Oh,
From
yeah, there's so much.
Wi-Fi, wearing shoes all day and not grounding yourself, and living in concrete jungles and not being able to connect with nature.
Yep.
It's beautifully said. I like I've noticed in the last decade or so, there's been this increase in consciousness. People want to get into health. They like talking about spirituality, religion, God. It was like a taboo, and now here we are. I feel that people are more willing and wanting to share that there is a higher source, and we just have to connect to it. You
Yeah,
know.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
You had mentioned you're a mother as well, so I'm sure you're sort of instilling those values of movement and health. Is there anything that you're putting together for children? I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know. Have you thought about that? Or
Yeah, I do work with kids. Kids are kind of hard to work with because they're not really going to go and,
yeah,
do the exercises and the work
that's,
as well as we are. They're more built for fun and being in the present moment.
which
But
we all need. I agree. Yeah,
yeah, I think
yeah,
it's very important to start at a very young age learning about your human self and human body and human connection, because someone who learns that at a very early age is someone very powerful at an older age.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Is there a question that I didn't ask and you're hoping I ask? So, is there anything that I didn't ask you that needs to be answered?
No, I think you've done a great job.
Wow! Yes.
It's a great conversation. And it's meant to be. The conversation that flowed is exactly what your listeners are meant to hear. So I trust in that too.
That's a good point. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, all right, last question then. I have a question. What's happening the next 5 years for you? You say you're
Ooh.
working on a book.
Yeah, I'm writing a book at the moment for sure. I am the type of person that kind of goes with the flow, to be honest. I've had a lot of people say, "Oh my gosh, Elise, you could be traveling the world, making millions of dollars, sharing your stuff, books everywhere." And I'm like, you know what's rich to me is being able to go to the beach after I get off this podcast with you.
Yeah, I hear you.
So I will always put my life and lifestyle first over making money. Or, yes, I will always help people, but I got to help myself, and I've got to live really well and really authentically to my values and what I love. So the next 5 years is just, it's filled with nature, it's filled with sunlight, it's filled with joy, it's filled with happiness, it's filled with helping people, it's filled with wherever divine source, you know,
Yeah,
wants to take me to help me. I always say, use me for the greatest good of all, however that is.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh,
Ellice De Giovanni, thank you for coming on Mississauga, keeping it real, and really sharing, your insight and your journey. And we look back and we see how everything is like a Lego piece. Everything is stacked, and here you are today making, and because of the YouTube world, I was able to connect with you, and you're making impact. So, continue success. Continue to do what you are doing. I think it's beautiful, and I will definitely share your YouTube channel, Instagram on our show notes. So, thank you for coming on, Miss Saga, keeping it real. I appreciate that.
absolute pleasure. Lovely to chat with you and hopefully connect out with your listeners as well.